Hello again. There we are. Sound. Sound. Glorious sound.
Couple of rules for chat. Don't
Yeah.
be at all about someone's gender. Don't be at all about someone's race, and generally don't be at all.
Yeah. As Graham
Or a
said,
screwdriver.
don't be a tool. Don't be a screwdriver. We are the Bloodthirsty Puppets. We'll be doing Salt and Thirst today. I wrote this. It's not very good. I read it very quickly. And so no being a tool. Tonight I'll be PMing. I am up here. They're down there. And I think over there is the map. Which isn't very important, but I needed something to fill that space. So, right, you guys, who are you? Who will you be playing? Even though you only know names, because I haven't told you anything else.
Starting with whom?
Whoever wants to go. Jump. Go forth.
Shall I give it a go? And then... Okay, I am Spanners, and I am going to be playing Morgan. All I know about Morgan is 18, 5'8", 11 stone female, and my career is a criminal, which means that I get to play one of my favourite characters. So, yay.
Okay. Hello, I'm Corone, and I'll be playing Lamb. Now, apologies if my accent sounds more like a farmer. They tend to sort of merge into one and the same when I do accents. So, I'm an outsider of Slat Gypsy. 18. Oh, it's spelled slat on here.
Oh, well. Bizarre.
Okay, I'll just change that, otherwise I'll keep making the same mistake.
It is spelled slat.
Okay. I'm age 18, 5'10", 12 stone, male, merchant, human, 2/2, legendary point.
Okay. Right then. So, you are wonderful salt gypsies from the boat. Oaty McOatface. Yes. And you have recently, as you can see, you're 18, you've recently come of age, and as with all salt gypsies, the time has come for you to go above decks, to no longer be among the freight and join the crew. Either those who do this. Basically, if you have an enormous technical aptitude, you get to go above decks as a topsider, a swabby. And if you have if you're more mechanically minded and you don't get on with people so well, you go below decks as a bilge rat. Luckily, you all qualified as swabbies, so you get to go up on top, and you get to clean the deck and fetch things for more important people, and just generally you get kicked around. But one day you might even graduate to the heady heights of, say, I don't know, the guy who's in charge of keeping tar on the ropes. But yeah. So that's generally sort of what your life holds. You've been doing this for a few months, maybe now. So, a new day dawns over the waves on day 19,624 of the Salt calendar, which is roughly mid-February 2058. For those of you who keeps the Gregorian calendar, you strange outcasts, you. And basically, the first thing you notice when you wake up is that the engines aren't making the right noise. This noise you've heard every day of your life. You were probably born on this boat. Instead of the good steady, chug 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 of an engine that's been running for 20 or 30 years past its major overhauls, today there is a big sort of heavy clanging noise every so often. Occasionally the chug doesn't quite come at the right time. It's sort of it's less than happy. And being as such, the captain, who is, as is the Salt Gypsy sort of tradition, is physically bound to his post. He sends his sort of council of elders off in their finest regalia to find out what the problem is. So they go below decks to consult with the rust masters in the ancient engine shrines. And only one elder actually comes back. Below decks is phenomenally dangerous, and basically topsiders don't go there. And he says that the Rustmasters have basically told him that the engines are buggered. There's something going drastically wrong, and the only recourse is to go to shore and retrieve some supplies of sort of sacred oils and scrap metals and engine components that just you can't get at sea. You know, you can try as you might, but you can't magically produce iron. You know, and as good as the oil rigs may be, that old pre-war stuff is really the best. So yeah, and essentially they're going to have to send some lovely expendable swabbies to the mud side to go and fetch things, as they call the land. Now, no salt gypsy has stepped on land for about 50 odd years at this point. They've stopped picking people up. They occasionally just sort of dock and trade, but that's it. No salt gypsy has stepped on land for over 5 decades. So you are now sort of anointed as mud divers. Is that what they call you? The ancient sky watcher from his position way up in the rigging tells you that a great storm is coming. You probably have 2 or 3 days, but without you fetching these supplies, the ship won't escape. The ship will be strewn onto the coast to be destroyed by the demons of mud and tide. So you have to definitely do this. And the navigator tells you that there's a pier where the dock, where your ship can dock very briefly at the highest point of high tide in the land of Sussex. So you'll get wrapped up in your anointed oil skins, and you'll get handed the blessed tools of the mud diver, which, if you have a moment of time, I actually have a list here that you might have to copy down and decide what you want, but you're going to need most of it. So each of you get a knife. A wonderful, sharp utility knife. You also get 4 days worth of dried fish. A large bottle of grog each. Because, everyone needs their grog. Keeps you going. You get a crowbar if you wish to take it. You get a hammer and chisel each. You get a spanner.
Yay.
2 flat-headed screwdrivers. 2 25-foot lengths of rope. Not 1 50-foot. No. And most importantly, you get a flare gun and 2 flares. Only one of those. You have to decide who has it. There you go. You got all that? Excellent. So you have to work out how you're going to carry all that crap. But yes, so the boat finally starts to pull up to the shore. You see this. You've observed the shore as this sort of ominous shadow on the horizon your whole life. You've never ever come this close before. You pass the old sort of the bathing buoys that have started drifting around after the chains have broken. And you draw close to this weird-looking thing, this structure of steel and wood that protrudes like a broken tooth into the sea from the deadly mud side. As you draw closer, you actually find that the ship cannot draw any closer, and you get offloaded into a smaller boat that's crewed by a rather irascible old gentleman called Tad. And he starts to chug you away from the only home you've ever known, Otie McOatface. Yeah, in a little like rib dinghy. So now we should sort of join. So Tad turns to you and says, "I don't envy you young'uns. You're You know it's dreadful dangerous on there, or you wouldn't catch me going on the mud side.
Oh, it's gotta be done.
Aye, it has, Yad. Look, young lad, yeah, it does. It definitely does. But you wouldn't catch me going there. You're a braver man than I.
The fuck's your problem?
Well, mainly that everything up there died. Look at it. And as he points, you do notice that everything you can see on the land is broken and crumbling and generally fucked.
Just needs a bit regenerating.
Regenerating?
Mm.
You won't get no regenerating up there. He says, his accent slipping.
What happened? Why is it dead?
Bombs. Big fire from the sky.
Right, bombs are gone. What's the problem?
Well, they say it's a thing called radiation. It cooks things from inside, makes them all twisted and dead.
Right, comes to the mirror, fuck it up.
Try it. And he picks up the crowbar from your pack and just hands it to you. If that radiation comes near you, you give it a good whack on the head from me.
Just gonna nod and put it in my pack.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you're drawing closer to the pier now as it stands. There's an old ladder, a rusted old ladder that he pulls up to. It's the only place to sort of go to. He's not going to risk the beach. He's just pathologically terrified of it. So yeah, he ditches you off. He ties up to this ladder, and he helps Lamb up first. You know, you get the impression that he's looking after Morgan a little more. You know, being that she had a chat and he's engaged a little more. So yeah. Who knows? It's a small ship. He might even be related to you. But yeah, he helps you on up. And he says, yes, 2 days. You got 2 days. No more. I'll be here. Set up a flare. You got it?
You got it. We'll be back.
Good. And almost before Morgan gets halfway up the ladder, he doesn't even untie the rope. He just cuts it, and he guns the little motor on the boat. One of the ones that kind of looks like a hand whisk. The straight ones you get on the back of some light watercraft rather than a proper outboard.
Yeah.
But yeah, he properly guns it and just shoots back towards the ship towards the horizon. And that's the last you see of Tad for at least a couple of days now. So I assume you both climbed the ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you both crest the ladder, you get your first proper look at what's going on. I mean, before you were low down, the beach rises up a few feet. You get your first proper look at Mudside, and while you're standing there, sort of taking it in, because this is the first time there's ever been an obstruction to your horizon, apart from below decks. You guys, if nothing else, you're definitely not agoraphobic. You've never had anything bounding your horizons, but now there is almost a wall of buildings on this seafront. And as you're standing there, you notice that the wood below you is creaking in a very disconcerting fashion. I mean, you've been on old wooden ships and you've walked on wooden decks. Everything inside you tells you that this is about to go. If not immediately, it's not going to hold up to a storm. This is coming to the end of its working life.
Lamb, this ain't right. I'm going to grab him and run towards the land.
Okay. Good. Any reaction to that, Lamb? Or are you just going to allow
yourself
to be dragged? All right. You're just going to go with being dragged. Cool.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, you drag him down the pier bodily. As you sort of as you start to come away from the sea, and you pull yourself in, like you start to feel, well, obviously, you start to feel warm, like uncomfortably warm. I mean, these oilskins you're wearing are huge. You know, they're anointed with everything that you know, everything that the salt gypsies think might keep radiation away. So, like, you know, blessed sea salt and smearings of engine oil and all sorts of horrible gumph. You know, and, you know, specially treated sacred kelp. You know, all the stuff that they use, you know, back in their little sea homes to try and keep themselves safe from the radiation, you know, from eating the radiated fish and stuff. So yeah, you sort of you start to sort of give a more credence to the stories you've always heard of the Mudside being this burning, hot, terrible place. You know, you or I would draw the sort of parallels with sort of, you know, hell. You've basically been told this is the worst place that exists, but there are things here that can't be got anywhere else. So yeah, as the pier reaches the actual land, you notice all around you there's these sort of these stripped down wrecks of sort of abandoned landcraft. Neither of you have heard the word car, so to you they look like land boats. Very strange things with large holes in the bottom. That just can't be right. You know, how would you keep the water out of that? You can't find propellers on them anywhere. What was that?
All a bit strange.
Indeed. And so as you look around, I assume you are. What do you do? You've walked into, essentially what you've come into an area where there are buildings on your left, buildings on your more ruined, sort of destroyed buildings on your right. Straight ahead, there's sort of a clear avenue. And there's a sort of a broken pillar with sort of there's a statue of something. You're not entirely sure what it is in front of you, but for those of you in the know, you've just walked onto Worthing Seafront.
Okay.
So, what do you do? Where do you look? What's happening?
So we can see Worthing Seafront. We can see almost like vehicles from here.
Yeah, broken, rusted, stripped down vehicles. I mean, the only things that are left here are, you know, the structural supports that would just be too annoying and heavy to carry away. Like, any external panels have been ripped off. You know, this is just rusted, you know, framework.
Okay. So do we know where we need to be going to?
No, you haven't.
We don't.
You've
we've got no idea.
To find oil and metal. Fresh water never goes amiss either.
In the vehicles, wonder whether there's any oil or anything that's been left discarded.
You can go and have a look.
I shall do that.
Okay. I will mention at this point, because it's something that me and Blood have discussed a few times, is when you're looking for something in particular, you can add whatever skill you feel is justified to your perception.
Okay.
So, for example, if you think your repair skill would help, you could add that if you can argue it, or craft, or tech use. You know, if you're looking for a particular bit of wiring, or, you know, a carburetor or something.
I think the closest to that would be tech use. I'm trying to I'd have to work out how to get into the like any caps or things that need to be taken apart to find out where the oil is, having not actually seen a car before.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen engines before.
Yeah, but there's still an outer shell that I'm unfamiliar with.
Oh yeah. But
so
like the bonnet would be missing.
Right. Okay.
You know, the bonnet, the wing panels, the outer door panels, anything that someone could rip off and walk away with is pretty much gone.
Okay. So I can see the engine.
Yeah.
Can I see an engine in press vehicle? Yeah. Okay. Let me just have a look. The only other thing that could be, well, to be honest, craft, repair, and tech use are all 2 in total, so it doesn't really make much of a difference. Whichever one I would go for that.
Well, I would say go for repair. You know where you would put oil into an engine.
Yeah.
You know, to keep it going. So go with that.
Okay. So I'll roll for a repair. Okay. So that's 10.
Okay, you find a little flip up cap, which it has an odd symbol that you just don't understand at all on it. And you try and like twist it, nothing happens.
Right.
Have you got one of the screwdrivers on
you? I basically wrote down everything you said, so.
Okay. So I assume you have.
Yes.
Is that better, Roasty?
What? Roasty is very quiet. Okay. Okay, so yes, I do have a screwdriver on me.
Excellent. Yeah, you jam the screwdriver into the sort of the plastic surround of this cap. You twist it and it pops up. And congratulations, you found the washer refill.
Okay.
So you've eliminated a possibility at this point. Yeah,
right.
you go to the next thing and sort of twist that. And there's a sort of a light hiss.
Right.
And you flip that up, and you can see engine gubbins underneath this little thing you've opened. And what you can see in there is sort of gritty and dry. It's dark brown and very gritty. Any oil in there dried up maybe 30 years ago.
Okay. I'm just going to give it a kick and walk off.
How much of an asshole should I be? No, yeah, you kick the car. It's obviously you're kicking a large piece of metal. It's not clever. It's not big. It's not clever. You're having a tantrum.
I know too.
It hurts a bit. You suck it up, but you walk a bit. You walk like you've bruised some toes, but yeah, it doesn't. You don't take any damage or anything.
Okay.
But yeah, it does ring out with a nice sort of clunk. That if you're clever enough, you might be worried about.
Can I look around for a metal container of some description? Or something we could use as a metal container?
Yeah, give me a craft perception. Perception craft.
A perception craft.
Looking for a thing to make a thing with.
Bollocks. Botched.
You don't see anything made of metal, but you see something it's sort of see-through, but it looks great. It looks really good. It looks like the sort of thing that someone might, for example, carry a few pints of milk around in.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to take this really not very metal thing and scoop some seawater up with it.
Are you going to walk back to the sea, under the pier? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You walk down to the sea and you touch the water, which isn't a good idea.
But I'm not touching it with my hand. I'm touching it with the container.
You scoop up some water, and the top 2/3 of the milk bottle that you found, the lid just pops off the bottom. You've basically got an upside down milk bottle with no bottom on it. And goes, whoop. punk. Oh.
Great.
Yeah. It looked great. I mean, if you could find some way of getting the lid to stay on, it would be a wonderful little cup. Or, a fairly large cup, actually. A pretty decent tankard.
Okay.
But as it is, no.
Can I try and repair it?
You can try and catch the lid and put it back on, yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, I'm not going in that water. I know better than that.
Yes, you do.
I'm just going to chuck it in the sea and walk back to Lamb.
Okay. Yes, Lamb, you see your you see your companion come back up the beach, looking slightly more forlorn, without the strange milky plastic cup that she was carrying. So, what do you do now?
Right. Where next then?
So you're standing essentially at a roundabout, intersection of a T-junction, basically. Straight ahead is an open avenue. It's full of rot and filth and scrap and wrecked cars. To your left, you can see there's just a continuation of the road. You can continue wandering down the seafront, finding 2/10 of bugger all. And to your right, there are a bunch of ruined buildings. I mean, the ones on your left there seems to be barricades between them. Like someone's made a conscious effort to fortify that direction, maybe to keep things in or possibly out. You're not really sure, but they're not constant. They're just a number of barricades in between buildings. To your right, it's just sort of ruins, but one of them you can see has sort of a domed tower off to the right. So where do you want to look, go, explore?
Might be a long shot, but is there sort of any spots of oil in what would have been the sea? Like an oil spill from something, I don't know.
The only oil spill that probably would have been in this area for several years is the boat you've just come from.
Okay.
And even that's just, old engines spilling a bit as they go,
Okay. Well, that's our own oil, so that's
yeah.
That's dirty spent oil that's full of grit.
Yeah. Okay. So, right. Okay.
My gut feeling is always to go left, but I think we ought to go right.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Towards the dome.
Do you want to look around? Percept for me, please. Both of you.
Shall percept. And I percept for 8.
For 13.
Okay. As you're walking along, Morgan, you notice that there are sort of a number of sort of ruined buildings that have large openings at the front. They look like they were never particularly secure. They probably weren't the best places for people to hide. They're not very well covered. You're looking over it with a sort of a stern tactical eye at this point. There's nothing particularly of any use there. Anything that can be removed probably has. There's just sort of assorted junk, broken bits of plastic furniture, things like that. Nothing particularly wonderful, and of course all the filth and gumph that's blown in off the sea. Lamb, on the other hand, you notice as you're holding along that this domed building at some point appears to have been some kind of entertainment venue of some kind. It seems to have sort of these horribly faded artworks hanging behind what presumably at one point were windows, and you see the names of things that some of the elders have referred to called films. There are posters for these films that contain still images, but from what you have been told, these films contain pictures that moved. Yeah, it's all very strange and mysterious. I mean, obviously you've never seen anything like this, but you've been told about it. This could in fact be a kinema, as they called them.
Right. Okay. So, okay. I'm just going to point and say, there's a Kanema there.
Right. The fuck's that?
Place the elders used to say they showed some sort of strange moving images.
Right. Ain't got no oil. Ain't got no metal.
It might be machines left behind. I don't know, sort of saying about these moving images. It might be some sort of heavy machinery that might have been needed for that. They might have not taken it with them.
All right, that's proper. Let's go.
Off we go.
Okay, so yeah, you head towards the kinema, and the front doors have long since sort of rotted out the frames. And you can see these rather elaborate-looking doors just laying on the floor, covered in mould and seaweed and plastered on filth. You're not really sure if someone at some point busted them down or they've just fallen off the frames. And inside. Inside's a rather odd looking assembly of pieces. There's something that looks a little bit like the front of a boat in the middle of this little, I believe they call it a hall. And either side of it are sort of low walls. And to the practiced eye of a modern individual, it's a ticket booth. But to these chaps, it looks like nothing else but the front of a rowing boat. And exactly what a rowing boat's doing this far inland, I mean, it's not very far, but it is attached to walls in a building. You're just absolutely dumbfounded at what this thing might be for. But it's blocking your way.
Looks like someone crashed in here quite sturdy. It's got quite fast into this wall.
It's on land. Whoa, why are they on land?
It's like it shot out the water and smashed right into it.
It's got anything in it?
I don't know. Just going to have a little look around it.
Okay. You look at it and you see sort of it looks like a book to your eye. But it has these sort of moving sections on top of it that have letters and numbers. It seems to be plugged into a larger block underneath. And what looks to like a drawer beneath it. It's got a key lock on it that's been sort of obviously hit with a chisel at some point. It's sort of hanging out a bit.
Can it be opened?
Of course it can. You just need to hook a finger in and pull.
Okay.
They've got locks here. Is it locked?
It presumably was before someone hacked it out with a chisel.
Okay, so they have actually unlocked it.
Yeah. That's what I was checking. Okay. I'm going to have a look inside, see if there's anything interesting in the drawer.
Okay, you look within and you find a number of sort of quite heavily vendigerized, sort of greenish coins. Small roundish objects of metal with a picture of some old lady's head on. I mean, you've heard tell of money and how useless it is. And you have what you or I would call about 76p in coppers.
Just to whack. Sorry.
Go on.
I was going to whack the coins on the desk and say, look, found some round things here. Looks like it's probably the owner of the Kanema.
Them's coins they are.
Yeah, this place must have done its own coins. Not much of a look at the owner.
Well, put them in your bag, and if we find people, we can stick them in the slingshot, and take them out. We can take an eye out with one of them.
Good plan. Nice
it
bit of
does
metal,
look
though.
like you could really properly take an eye out with one. It wouldn't look like it would be a nice clean wound either.
Pointy, very helpful.
Yeah. Okay, so you have found 76p's worth of coppers. I'll let you decide ones and twos. Some sort of mix of. And you as you going through this, I assume you've both now pounded on into this little enclosure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, under the sheer force of the pair of you in your gigantic Inuit wrapping style oilskins, you've busted the back door of this thing out of its frame, basically. Just the concentrated mass of two people trying to fit into this space isn't designed for that. It's just too full of rubbish. And essentially what happens is a vast number of drinks cans and small stones and assembled bits of ripped up newspaper and plastic dross that's been dropped on beaches that's blown in here over 50 years just slowly collapses the back door as you're standing in there. And inside is a far better kept interior. It's quite wide, and it appears to have a low table within, sort of waist height that forms a sort of U shape. It'd be quite handy for sort of operating it looks a bit like the bridge of a ship to you. You could have consoles on here that run all sorts of things. And where the steering position is, there's a tall machine that you can only see the back of that has "Hola" written on it.
Wow. This place used to be called Ola.
Maybe. Could be the person who lived here.
Maybe it's the one whose picture's on the coin.
She's been living here a long time then.
I think I'll just jump over the thing to get to the other side of the tool unit.
Okay, yeah. So you hop over this this waist height counter, and you're inside, and you see this counter from behind. It seems to be the top seems to be mainly made of glass, and at some point there have been things kept underneath. Most of these things are gone, but you find a shredded red bag. I mean, it looks like it's made of plastic, but it's been there for so long it's sort of shredded. It's decayed to the point it's shredding, and within you just find dozens and dozens of these small, brightly coloured objects, vaguely round, most of which they carry a letter on them. You're not entirely sure what letter, if it's an M or an S but either way, it's brightly coloured and it looks like it might be delicious.
I've got a few extra supplies here then.
What's that then?
There's little round things. They've got some sort of letter on them, but I can't quite determine what it is.
Do you pick any of these up, or are you just going to brush them into a pocket sort of thing?
I might look a bit closely at one.
Okay. As you try and pick it up, your enormous mittened hand just mashes it all over the place. You can't seem to get a grip on any. If you pulled your glove off, you'd easily be able to pick these things up, but you're essentially wearing a whaler's mitt at this point.
Right.
I mean,
okay, forget what I said.
Okay, you're not gonna risk taking off a glove.
Not in this heat.
Fair enough. Okay.
Why are you leaving them there?
Can't get them up.
Take your clothes off, man.
Oh, he's talking. No.
Okay.
I don't know. A bit nervous. Don't know if it's all okay to be taking the gloves off at the moment.
And I'm going to climb over the counter and just kind of elbow him out of the way. Here, hold this. I'm going to pass one of my. I've taken a glove off and I've passed it to him.
Okay. You're going to grab these brightly coloured things.
Yep.
Okay. As you do, you notice the colours on them smear on your hands. They were all of it. They were most of the colours of the rainbow, and now you just have this sort of ugly smear on your hand. But the smell is delicious. The smell is a lovely mix of sort of fruity, sugary, fantastic.
Okay. And I'm going to put my hand into Lamb's face and say, "Here, sniff that. That's lush, that is."
Okay. You're just going to palm it up and drop all the things you have in your hand. Okay. Yeah, you push your hand into his face.
I've now got a nice colourful pattern on my face.
Okay, yeah. Take a reflex save. Do you get out of the way fast enough to avoid a facial marking?
Probably not. That is. I rolled a 2, so probably not.
No, you get this weird sort of purplish brown mark on your face, but it smells good. It really does. It smells. It smells like all of the favourite things when you were growing up. Mixed with all of the smells of like the sweetest seaweeds that your parents used to give you candied. It smells great. You now genuinely wish that you had just eaten the things that your friend has dropped on the floor.
Oh. Smells like the rainbow, that does.
Yeah. Being that you've been issued like 4 days of dried herring, the opportunity to eat whatever these were seems like a terrible waste now that you've dropped them on the floor.
Okay, well, I have no pride, so I'm going to pick them up and put them in my pocket.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you can chuck down on your sheet. You have a handful of S&Ms. Because we can't commit to one or the other. That would be branding.
Handful of S&Ms.
Yummy. Okay. As you, I assume you continue to look around this sort of this area of sweet delights. Yes. As you say, now you're the other side of this tall machine. You notice that it has sort of cylinders and levers on it. It looks quite interesting, actually. It has various labels, most of which are sort of browned to illegibility. You can see the Ola. There's several that have Ola of various different types in. There's a silver one and a red one. There's one that looks a bit like it, but it seems to be a C. You're not really sure. It's got a P in it. It's got an I. There's an S somewhere. It looks okay.
Sip.
Yeah, maybe a sip. I mean, it's so badly damaged. The order of the letters isn't easy to make out. There needs to be something circular behind it. It sort of occludes what's going on. But yeah, you've got these, and there are these levers, and there are certain cylinders underneath and sort of pots of stuff. You're not really sure what's going on with all that. And there's a large glass object, sort of at waist height, that is full of this brown mulch.
Wow.
There was writing on it, but once again it's worn off. There's sort of the shape of the word, of the white sticker that the words were printed on, but you're not really sure what that is either. All in all, you could probably nick some metal out of this machine. There are some sort of slabs, obviously metal cylinders and things. You're not sure what good it would be, but it might be handy. At the very least, you could stash it on the pier.
What would I need to get that? Get the metal.
Screwdriver, hammer, chisel, bit of determination. Up to you, really.
I'll try all of those things in a random order.
Okay. Okay. You assault the fizzy pop machine with a crowbar.
Yes.
A wonderfully sweet-smelling liquid just pours out all over you. on your front. It's quite high pressure considering how long it's been in there. You know, initially as you hit it with the crowbar the first time, it just sprays out and then it quickly slackens off. But at this point, it's all down your front and down one. It's gone into like the join between your glove and your sleeve. Yeah.
Has it all poured out, the whole contents of what was in there?
Oh no, I mean this is only like for a second or two before the pressure slacks off. Yeah, and there's just this sort of dribble of sort of syrupy, sludgy fizz. You wrangle it a bit and you manage to rip the front panel off, and inside there's an assemblage of rather interesting looking pipes. Actually, you just pull them all together, sort of thing.
Do I think it's oil?
It is by no means a lubricant of any kind.
Right.
It's possibly the best glue you've ever seen.
Right.
It is the exact opposite of what you need.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'll continue to see if I can extract some metal from the machine.
You can rip all the metal pipes, and there's sort of flat metal panels all around this. I assume you get Morgan to join in. You're assaulting this machine. Two people assaulting a machine works faster.
Yeah.
Okay. Does Morgan assault the front or the back? Do you just go around the back and rip the back panel off while he does the front? Or?
Yeah, I'm going to go around the other side because he's wielding things, and I don't really want to get hit in the face. So yeah, I'm going to take the crowbar and just give it a good whack from behind, see if I can remove the back panel.
Okay. As you go to hop back over this counter to get to the back of the machine, you hop over, and the part you put your hand down on to hop over, you notice it move quite sort of jarringly, and as you sort of slide over the other side, the glass panel that formed the top of this counter has fallen into the brown mulch that was at some point popcorn and sinks. It's not a pleasant smell. 50-year-old mulchy popcorn is never going to be good.
I'm going to pinch my nose and do the rest of it one-handed.
Okay, I'm just going to take a step back. Here, this ain't right. And then I'm going to go and have a look and see if there are any other doors or anywhere else that we can investigate.
Okay, immediately behind this counter, sort of as you head from the front through the back, there is a pair of double doors.
Okay. Here, Lamb, try in here.
Okay.
There might be something less disgusting.
Right, yo.
Okay, so you've piled your sort of your haul of metal on top of the counter to the right, because the left is where the counter gave way and fell into the mulch. So you just pile it there. You can grab it on the way out, sort of thing. There's no point carrying it just to walk to another room and then come back. Or I assume this may not have occurred to you. I can't remember what your intelligence is, but I don't seem to recall. I gave either of you particularly great intellect.
43.
Okay. Oh yes, I made you the super genius who was a troublemaker. That was it.
Yeah.
18.
Yeah, I'm irritating.
Yes, it was. I think it was the other two. There was an 18 and a 16.
Yeah.
18, a 16, and a 42. Don't know
Yeah.
what I was trying to say.
That's why I asked with an intellect of 18 whether I'd thought that the soda was anything useful.
No, but it smells lovely.
On that.
You now just smell great. To a teenager, you basically smell of you smell of a melange of sugared candies and some kind of mix of fizzy soda drinks. Yeah, you smell great. You smell like a decent night out at the movies. So yeah, you head back into this towards these double doors. These double doors are the first doors you've come across that are entirely intact. These doors look all right. Yeah, you wouldn't mind putting this on the captain's cabin.
Wow. I wonder if we can sort of get these doors off the hinges and save them to get on the boat.
To get on the boat. It's a long way back. Let's go inside and have a look. And we're here for oil and metal. And I'm going to push the doors open. And peer in.
Actually locked.
Okay. In which case, I am going to try and pick the lock.
Okay. You've got a knife and a screwdriver. I'm not going to argue with that.
I'm going to use my screwdriver and a hammer.
You're not fucking around. Okay. So give me your glorious sneak.
Right.
Seems to have made you good at that.
Indeed, I am. Right. Give me a second. It would be 15, and then, because I am picking locks, 17.
Yeah, you bust in there, no problem. Someone just looked this up before going home, 50 odd years ago. You put the screwdriver in, and you notice it wiggle a bit, and you're like, "Do I need the hammer?" And you just push and turn, and the lock just gives instantly. This probably wasn't up to much anyway. And you stand there sort of mildly confused with the hammer in your hand for a moment as this door swings open. I assume at this point you probably turn to Lamb and just go, "I'm just that fucking good."
Yeah, absolutely.
Lamb, you've never seen anything this cool.
I'm just in awe.
Yeah.
The
you
whole
wish you
thing.
had these skills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the door swings open, and inside there's just rows and rows and rows of seats, all facing a small like, stage. I mean, these seats look all right. They are a bit dusty. The roof isn't up to much, but this room is okay. Right down to the rather fancy moulding on the walls.
Oh, what the fuck's going on in here then?
I don't know. There was some sort of thing going on, like a conference or something.
Oh, is there some kind of show?
They're all pointing in that direction, so...
As you walk further in, you notice that all the chairs are facing the same way. So this definitely isn't a mess hall. And if it was, there's some very rude people.
We
tables either.
Do some of these chairs on the ship.
How many do you think we could get back?
I'm going to try and pick one up.
Okay, give me a strength check.
What's the story? 6.
Yeah, it's really, really, really well secured to the floor. Yeah. As you sort of you grab the arms and you pull and you strain for a few seconds, and something creaks, and you're pretty sure it's you. And you let go. And at this point, you notice there's like multiple pop rivets pushing it into the floor, sort of thing. And maybe some like big old bolts.
What? Chained to the floor. What? Why would they do that?
Bit strange. We both try our crowbars. See if we can force it up.
Give it a go.
Right. Who wants to be the brave one? First.
That would have been 10.
Okay.
7.
Okay, you managed to sort of wrench one corner of one of these chairs, like together, both of you, with your crowbars in either side of like the supporting leg. You managed to wrench one corner out of the floor slightly because the wood floor gives way. The chair doesn't move, the floor does. It takes a lot of effort. I'm not gonna lie. This this doesn't seem to be a very productive use of your time or energy. But this chair is really nice. You know, there's a bit of bubblegum stuck to the back. But yeah.
Might check out its comfortness and sit in one of the chairs.
You flop down into the chair. There's a spring in there or something that's really quite sharp. It looks a lot more comfortable than it is. And after a few seconds of sitting there, you realise that your knees are hitting the chair in front. And how tall are you?
I am 6'10".
6'10"? I did not make anyone 6'10".
Maybe it's 5. I don't know.
Yeah,
5'10".
You know, you're an inch over perfectly average height, and your feet aren't touching the floor, and your knees are hitting the chair in front of you. You know, this is. Whoever designed this place was clearly some kind of evil genius. You know, these chairs look fantastic, but when you actually sit in one, you realise that it's the worst place you could possibly be.
Wow, maybe not quite as comfy.
Yes.
Well, they look comfy. What's wrong?
You have a go then.
Do you want to sit the same one, or
Yes.
the one next to it, or the one in front of it?
No, same one.
Okay. Yeah, you flop down in the same. How tall are you?
5'8".
5'8". Okay. You flop down in it, and similarly, as you're sitting down, you knock your knees on the chair in front. You know, as you're sitting down, you don't even get to sit down and then notice it. Now it's been pointed out this is a horrible chair. You flop into it, determined to prove that your friend he's an idiot, and it hurts. You're genuinely in pain. You know, the arms are slightly too tight on your hips. The chair in front is slightly too close, and you sort of bark your shin on the bottom corner of the backrest of the chair in front. You know, the backrest is all right. The seat you're sitting on is horrible. The proximity of the chair in front is almost intolerable.
Lamb, I scratched my leg. There's a spring in here. Metal.
Bear in mind that this spring is bothering you through thick oilskins.
Yep. So I'm going to get up. I'm going to use my knife, and I'm going to just kind of split the chair, and see if I can get to the springs.
Okay, yeah, you rip the damn thing open, you know, you bust it open like a birthday pinata. These springs just boing, pop out. It's mildly comedic. And there's a single large rusty spring that clearly has broken off of the support structure it's meant to be holding up, and it's just jabbing through the fabric on one side. It's so similar to the colour of the fabric that you didn't notice it before you sat down. But yeah,
right.
There is a horrible rusty spring.
That fucker's getting melted down then, and I'm going to just rip it up so we can put it with our other pile of metal.
Okay, you grab this spring, you pull it, and it just uncoils into this long, somewhat straighter ribbon of rusty metal before snapping with a sort of dull twang. You now have sort of an 8-inch piece of ribbon steel that's horribly rusty.
Right, job done.
Some damage that could.
Yeah, maybe it could be a serviceable, if somewhat naff shiv. If you really needed it to be, you know, for the eyes.
You could garrote someone with that.
Or then.
Only if they had a really thin neck. Yeah, okay. So, what are you going to do? You're standing in an auditorium with, I don't know, 298 unmolested chairs.
Right. Lamb, there's fuck all in here. And then I point towards the door.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. As you walk out, you notice that there's more of these sweets, strewn across the floor. There's sort of mulchy brown areas where you assume whatever was in that tank out the front was. There are discarded cans and things around. Most of them crushed and not looking like they'd be particularly useful for anything. There are sort of roof timbers that have fallen into the aisle, and there's a modest amount of bird droppings around as you leave. Like the chairs you were on were sheltered under sort of a little bit of roof at the back, but it looked nicer when you were outside the room looking in at the backs of the chairs. But yeah, you head on out.
The wood that's fallen down, is it small enough to pick up?
No, it's big roof supports. Yeah. There might be some useful metal fittings on there if you wanted to try to tear, joist fittings off rotted roof timbers.
I think we're probably all right. I think we've got our pile, and I'm going to signal that we need to take whatever we've got, and then go and leave it by the pier.
Okay, yeah. So is that what you're going to both? Lamb, is that what you're doing as well?
Oh yes.
Okay, so you head back out of the kinema, and you walk back to the pier, and there's a building at the base of the pier. It's large. Again, it's not a dome. They seem to have had a thing about domes here. Most of it seems to have collapsed, but it'd be quite good for hiding things from view, from the shore. So you head round behind this collapsed building, and you put your little stockpile behind it. And what do you want to do now? You've been on land for maybe an hour and a half. You've assembled a pile of metal that's fairly paltry, considering what you need.
Should have done gut feeling, going left.
Okay, is that your new plan? Your new plan is left.
Left?
Well, yeah, we're getting right, so let's try the other way, yeah.
Okay.
Right then.
So are you going to head just along the seafront, or try and go through these barricades?
Well, the barricades are clearly there for a reason, which means there's probably something behind them. So, yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so as you walk back to the this junction, and the closest break in the barricades is maybe a couple of dozen meters sort of up the main street, the main clear street off to the left. So you up there, you take off to the left, and you find a sort of a broad alleyway. You see a sign up on one of the ruined buildings that says Montag, and doesn't mean anything to you. One of you thinks that it might be something in German, because you've heard of German. One of you, being that salt gypsies are mainly descended from oil rig crew and people who were aboard ships during the calamity, like there are all sorts. You have a greater knowledge of languages than most people in the desolation, so you've heard sort of. You know that Tag is sort of is something in German. You know that you know little bits of French and German and things. You're probably quite educated for a wastelander. But yeah, which makes sense because you're not from it. But hey, so you walk along this Montag, and there's just ruins on either side. Really, it looks like everything that was removable has been torn off and used to build these barricades. And every so often you find sort of a rough marking that's sort of in the shape of a W. Because unlike most people here, you know how to read. The useful things, because you needed to know how to, you needed to know when there were like big stenciled warnings written in the ship, like not to go there. So you were taught to read. But this is just a big W. Whoever wrote this probably couldn't read. So yeah, you're heading along the street. And after a few moments of walking along down, you start to hear movement from one of the buildings. It's not loud. Like the person who's in there is clearly not trying. Well, the thing that's in there is clearly not trying to be heard. It's sort of a scuffling noise.
Right. I'm going to ready my club just in case it's needed.
Okay. The noise continues.
Is it getting louder?
Not necessarily louder. It might be coming nearer.
Okay. I'm going to hold a crowbar just close to me. Not like out, but just kind of close.
Okay. You're going to sort of move towards the sound, move away from it, investigate at all, or are you just going to hold still? Rabbit in headlights.
Move towards it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you edge towards this building. It seems at some point this building had a vast array of wares within. I mean, it was quite clearly at some point a mercantile enterprise. There was a window long ago. This is long gone. And there's a vast sort of... There's an array of mouldering paper in this window. There's sort of thick wedges of damp paper, encased in what 50 years ago was probably a book cover. And the window's off to the left. On the right-hand side, closest to you, is the door. The door, one of them seems to have been bust in and is hanging loosely off its hinge. Sort of, it's leaning on something. It hasn't fallen all the way off. And the other is standing there completely unmolested.
Okay.
And once again, you can hear a scuffling within.
I'm going to continue walking stealthily towards the noise.
Then give me a sneak. Morgan, if you don't want to be noticed, we're going to need a sneak from you as well. Unless you just want to storm on in.
6.
Oh, is there any point in me rolling if he's rolled a 6?
Well, you don't know the result of his stealth yet. He's literally gone like, shh, follow me.
I botched.
Okay. Right. Lamb, you go up on tiptoes. The quintessential like we're sneaking pose. You lift your hands up like this.
Creaky floorboards and everything.
You step in like you kick like an empty drinks can across the room. You slip a bit. You're like, woo, fuck. You mutter under your breath like, God damn it, what the fuck was that? You step in something that smells dreadful. And then Lamb just blunders and knocks the other door off its hinges, like just falls headlong into what was so at some point a shelf of some kind, a shelving unit of some kind. Like the first 3 shelves just snap under her weight as she bowls on in, and she sits there sort of bemused on her arse with like these broken shelves around her. She goes, "Bugger!" And it echoes through the store. And just for the hell of it, take a single point of damage. No mitigation. You've just utterly screwed this up. You've broken a door with your face.
Fair enough.
Also, at some point, you've slipped through whatever filthy thing it was that Lamb stepped in. The scuffling. You hear it get louder for a second and then stop. And you hear a very strange noise, like a very guttural, growling noise.
We think he's fallen asleep.
Yeah, it could be a snore.
You don't no.
Oh,
No.
no.
That ain't right. And I'm going to start kind of edging backwards.
Okay. You managed to climb out of the wreckage of this shelving. You sort of brush this paper mulch off of you, and you head back through the door. This noise, it periodically repeats. Like, it doesn't seem to be getting louder or moving, but whatever this thing is, it seems to be sort of issuing its territorial warning.
Okay. We'll be back, Snorri man. And, I'll just tiptoe backwards.
Okay, as you're tiptoeing backwards, you hear the same noise from the other side of the street.
Oh. How did he get over there?
And then you hear it from the building sort of 2 doors down, like back the way you came.
This ain't right.
No.
We need to move.
Let's put you
Here,
above
Agate. Okay.
From the windows above you.
I think at this point I'm going to kind of hold on to his oilskins and just run like fuck down the road.
Danger.
Back the way you came or forward?
Forward.
Okay, you're going to run forward. Okay. Right, yeah, you peg it. Give me a both of you give me a perception. I would let you go for a perception sneak if you want to try and spot what's happening.
Is there any better? Okay, 15.
Okay. And Lamb?
Yeah. 13.
Okay, yeah, you're running like you. As you're running, like panicked, glancing around. This noise hasn't stopped. It doesn't seem to be getting any quieter as you keep running. It seems like whatever you've been doing, you've woken a whole lot of this up. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be particularly great news. As you continue to run, you notice that there's another barricade in front of you. A considerably larger, better manufactured barricade. Mm. It seems as you cross a bit of empty ground, a bit of open ground, you can see the sea down to your left. And off to your right and directly ahead there is just this wall. It's sort of 12, maybe 15 feet high. It's topped with God knows what sharp, wiry stuff. It looks bloody horrible. You don't want to climb it. It's got sharp pieces of metal and wood and God knows what sticking out of it. Horrible rusty filth and concrete and rebar and all that sort of thing. It looks wonderfully safe on the other side, but you're not entirely sure how to get in.
Okay.
This point you're still running towards it.
You're still running towards it. Okay. Are we able to spot any sort of weak points or anywhere where we might be able to kind of climb a little bit around? Or is there a door?
There is, at the very least, no door.
Okay.
There is no door. I would allow you to try like a craft perception to see if there's like a hidden entrance or a weakness, or something like that. Only you, Morgan, because Lamb didn't score quite as well. Running panic.
Craft. Ugh. That's an 11, not a natural one.
11. If you ran towards the sea, you could run around the edge of what you can see of this wall. You don't know if You don't know if it continues along the seafront, but there's a corner.
Okay.
The inland edge just continues. It continues around behind the building that you first woke something up in.
Fair enough. Well, we like the sea, so let's go towards that.
Okay, so Morgan breaks off to the left. Lamb, what the hell do you do?
I follow.
You know none of this. You literally just know that the noise you're running from hasn't got any quieter.
I'm just going to follow her.
You're going to follow her. Being that you're not making any like complex reasoning at this point, do you want to look behind you?
Oh yeah, I suppose I could have a little look.
Morgan's thinking for the two of you. Do you want to risk a look over the shoulder?
Yeah, well, I probably won't see anything because 4 perception.
4. You're running. You're out. You're a little out of breath. You're running like you just literally. Oh God! And there are things. There are definitely things moving in the street behind you.
Yeah.
There are shapes. You didn't look long enough to worry about it too much. You were already running from it. Yeah. But yeah, whatever was there is definitely coming out of the buildings and chasing.
Okay. How much of, when we've gone around the corner, how much of a passageway do we have between us and nothing?
You and nothing.
So we've got the sea and we've got the wall.
Yeah.
How much, is it sort of a wide area or is it just kind of...
It's a decent wide area. There's probably a couple hundred metres between the sea and the wall.
Okay, that fucked that up then. Okay, so as we go along this side wall, do we see anywhere where we could possibly make ourselves known to anyone?
You don't see anything from where you are. I mean, if you wanted to run all the way down, you could give it a look, but you don't see anywhere from here. I mean, you could run down. There might be someone standing looking, in a gap between 2 buildings for all you know. But from here, you can't see anyone.
Okay.
The wall seems to continue, to the terminating point on the horizon, which isn't entirely true, but there's something coming the other way. There's another crumbling building far, far down the seafront that sort of seems to meet it.
Okay. I think I'm going to head towards that then.
Okay. Right. Are you going to continue running, or?
Yes. There are growly things behind us.
Yes. Okay. You continue running. Can I get physical endurance from both of you then?
Botch.
Oh. 12.
Okay. Morgan, you're getting a little out of breath by this point. Your dead sprint from before has become a sort of a paced jog. Now you're eating up the distance, but not as quickly as once you were. Lamb, on the other hand, you spot like a likely looking wall and you just flop over it. You are knackered. You quit running and you find a place to hide. It's a crappy place to hide. It really is. Like, the wall is just that little bit lower than you ducking, so you're still quite visible over it. Plus, you've just jumped into the wind coming off the sea, which obviously has been picking up. It's less than pleasant. But yeah, you're sitting there puffing away like a good one. You might want to have a drink, something to eat, a few seconds to regain your sanity and possibly leg it again. But yeah,
I'm going to have a bit of dried fish.
Yeah, fair enough. You have some culinary therapy. No. But from your hiding place, you get to behold what's running after you, and what it is it's a sort of small, twisted-looking thing. It doesn't look quite right. You know, you've only really been around humans ever. You know, and fish. It doesn't look like either of those. It's sort of, it's vaguely the shape of a person, but it's sort of lumpy. It's got like odd asymmetrical like chunks just sort of sticking out all over the place. It's got, some of them even have sort of bony lumps sticking out through their skin, almost like small claws, but sort of mid-thigh, you know, just in odd places. And their skin seems to be really, really caked in filth and, you know, broken in places. You can see bone on some of them, you know, not just in the places where it's spiky. You realise to your horror, these were people at some point.
Okay.
They're running on all fours and growling.
I'm going to take my bottle of grog. I am going to rip a piece of, what have I got on? My jeans. I'll stick it in the top. And I am going to use my fire starter perk to light this fucker on fire and lob it.
That you're still running away and haven't noticed these.
Were we not?
No, you
hiding.
You.
Oh, I'm still running.
Yeah, you're still jogging away at a merry pace.
Oh.
You haven't even noticed that Lamb isn't with you.
Oh, Lamb.
Lamb had already fallen behind.
Okay, in which case I'm going to look behind me because I figured I can't
makes
hear
sense. You go to centre. I assume that when Lamb first saw there were shapes, he's like, "Oh God!" So you turn to go like, "What is it?" Lamb. And you also see these things. You know, these twisted-looking humanoid beings. They're sort of running like mangy dogs. You know, patches of their skin are sort of falling off. They don't look great at all. And yes, you proceed to stuff a denim rag into the neck of a bottle of heavily watered down booze.
Okay. How close are they to us?
They're probably within 20 or 30 meters of Lamb. You're probably 100 meters or so away from them.
Okay. I'm not going to leave him to die on his own. So I am going to run back to Lamb and wait until they are within kind of throwing distance. Light the rag and throw it.
Okay.
Save me.
It will be maybe a hint to what's going to happen, but roll me an armed CC.
10.
Okay. You throw this bottle with its flaming rag in the top at these creatures, and it catches one on the shoulder, and it grunts a little, and the bottle breaks, which is handy. And your grog goes all over it, and the flame goes out because it's water with a tiny bit of rum in it. Or maybe beer. I can never really remember what grog is, but I know it's not ridiculously alcoholic. But, you know, it doesn't look very happy, and there are definitely some small bleeding cuts. You know, you have thrown this bottle with force enough to, you know, to shatter it. And none of them look particularly happy about the fact there was fire.
Okay, so they don't
cool of it, but there was fire, and none of them are happy about that.
They don't like fire.
No, there are probably about 8 of these things at this point. All of them visibly stopped and sort of tried to cover their eyes as you threw this flame at them. They clearly do not like bright lights.
Okay. Is there any vegetation near us?
No.
Shit.
No. I mean, there's like mold, maybe some like light lichen, but nothing.
Anything that I could burn? No. Okay.
You're probably carrying everything you can set fire to.
What do we got? Got a flare, but we've only got 2 of them.
And they're flare gun flares.
And they are flare gun flares. Don't really want to hold one of them.
Got some rope.
Fish doesn't really burn.
Rope.
Fried fish.
It's true.
I thought it's herring. I think that's oily fish, isn't it?
And cut some of the rope off. Set fire to that.
Yeah, can we make like a torch out of the rope, or out of some of the rope?
Give me a craft. Give me a craft. If you want to tell Lamb what you're doing, you could try.
Okay.
I suppose.
Yeah, we can both give it a go.
Okay. I'm going to reload it.
Yeah, so am I.
First legendary points of the game.
Oh, shit.
That is not much better.
Right, I'm going to re-roll that again. I can't do it till we get lower than that.
Okay, that's a 10.
That's a
That
10.
was much better.
Okay, you use your knife. You cut off about a foot of this rope and you wrap it around one of the ends of your crowbar. Through the wizardry of the fire starter pack, you manage to start a small fire. Out of I don't know, probably the padding from your coat. You possibly just chucked your gloves onto it as well. You make a small fire and you light your torch from it. You're fairly sure your torch won't go out. Fairly sure. It's smouldering. It's a bit smoky, but it's not out. Right, Corinne, what was your best result after all those rerolls?
My best result, i.e. my last result, was a 9 on the dice plus 2 of my crafting, so 11.
Okay, so 11. So yeah, you managed to do basically the same. You use about a foot of your rope. You wrap it around one end of your crowbar. You manage to. You're not sure exactly what you've done differently, but the rope that you've wrapped your rope around a lot tighter. It doesn't seem to be like sliding down the crowbar at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you manage to stuff it into this small fire as it sort of starts to gutter out a bit. And yeah, you now both have flaming torches, which is very handy.
Okay. Where do we want to go?
Well, can you have a strange? Hang on.
What do you want to play?
Get away.
Maybe she's got some ideas.
Yeah. Tell us what to do. Really thing. Right. What was the question?
Where do we right, so we've got torches and weird rabid things running towards us.
Okay. So we can either try and push them back with the flames that we've now got, or we can run away, sort of waving them to try and stop them following us by threatening them with the fire that way.
Okay. I'm with the latter.
Okay. Let's do that.
Okay, which way are you going to try and run away? I mean, you have something these creatures actively fear. Are you going to run to your right, in the direction that you know what's that way? Or are you going to run left into the great unknown?
Well, we still need to explore stuff. So going back the way that we already know, it's not going to get as much more stuff.
No.
Whereas to go into the unknown would likely find new stuff that's actually helpful to us.
Let's go left.
Okay. In Bloodhound's tradition, you go left. Okay, so yes, you run off to the left, waving your torches around. Yeah, your torches sort of gutter and smoke, and you manage to keep them alight. You manage to sort of shelter them with your bodies from the wind. When they sort of when the flame starts to dip a bit lower, the creatures they follow, but they definitely follow at a much greater distance. They don't seem to be making any great strides towards you at all. By the time you reach the other end of this of the beach, probably a good sort of 45 minutes, an hour later, your rope is almost entirely destroyed. You know, you've nursed it along as best you can, but you know you've managed to you've wrapped extra rope around it to keep it going. You've burnt sort of 5 or 6 feet of rope at this point. And the creatures are still following. They're hundreds of meters away now, but they're still following.
Okay.
You know,
So they can still see.
Meal.
So they can sense where we are still.
Yeah. Well, you've lit a lot. You've lit a torch and wandered off. You know. You're literally highlighting yourselves.
Now if the torch is now extinguished.
It's not extinguished. It's dying. It's you haven't got much left in these. You know.
Is it dimmed enough for them not to be able to see it anymore?
You'd guess they can probably still see it, but they're not as afraid of it. Also, you're probably out of their territory by now. You know, they responded to you as a territorial thing. You get the impression that these are animals.
So they'll probably.
Yeah, they don't seem to be coming any closer. They're a good few hundred meters down the seafront from you. They're just sort of milling about. You get the impression
they're more in a
sure
defense position now. More in a defense position now, sort of to stop us from going back, rather than them being aggressive to get towards us.
Take a perception.
That's 9 again. Excellent. So 12.
Okay. On a 12, you notice that you can see less of them than you did.
Right,
you can definitely make out fewer individuals. I mean, it's with them all sort of milling around and a good few hundred meters away. It's hard to make out exactly how many individuals there are, but there are definitely fewer. You know, any given time, you can probably only see 5, definitely.
Okay.
And they seem to be sort of heading back. Some of them probably have just sort of gone back to their lairs. You know, they don't. You know, as I said, these are animals. They've responded to you in a purely animal fashion. They're not malicious about it. They've defended their home. You've wandered off, and they've gone. Sorry, it's not worth the effort.
Okay. Are we able to see anything else? I mean, obviously there's this great big wall. Is there anything in that wall that may well be? I don't know. Can we get in any way? Is it still just like? As
you've headed down, as we previously mentioned, there was a sort of a wall coming down towards the sea at the far end of the seafront. At the intersection of these two walls, there is a gap. Where you can see that the wall ahead of you, which you presumed initially was just a continuation of this thing sweeping around, is actually just it's an old sea wall that's just crumbled away, and the wall you've been following curves back inland, and you can see a break in it. There's a gate further down, and for the first time since you come to shore, you see people.
Actual proper human people.
Yes. No, you presume. You see human-shaped things that are walking on 2 legs and holding objects.
Okay.
Here's the gate. Can we just? Is it just? Are we able to just walk up to the gate?
Yeah. I mean.
Okay. In which case, I'm going to point to it and go, "Oh, over there then." There's people and maybe. Things, and we've got coins, and we can maybe trade.
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah, so you head on up this sort of open road as it is, and you come to you sort of walk along. There's there's an old sort of blasted block of flats that sort of crumbled over, and you eventually come to a space where quite clearly someone has just driven a large vehicle through a bungalow, and then parked it on the other side of the ruins, and then built 2 watchtowers. So it's clearly a gatehouse sort of thing going on here, and there are people standing around. They seem to be looking the other way. They don't seem to be walking towards the sea. Why would they need to? They're looking. They're looking. One of them's looking inland, and the other one's looking off to the sort of the west, further off to the left, sort of thing. And they don't really notice you until you come to a sort of within 40 or 50 meters. Like, eventually, one of the 2 guys up in the closer watchtower goes like, "Oi, you! What are you doing here? Who are you?"
Are we within shouting distance?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool. Okay. Here, what are those things down there?
What things?
The things on their legs, they're growling and.
Oh,
you don't like fire.
You met the glowers, did you?
Glowers?
Glowers, yeah. You know.
No.
See them at night, they glow. They got, what's it called? And he turns to the other one, it's like, Hayden, what's it called? The other fella there, who's a bit taller, a bit thinner. He looks like he might have more than one brain cell, as opposed to the chap we were previously talking to. Turns around and goes, "Caden, I've told you. Radiation. Rads. Not good."
Oh.
Yeah. And so Caden turns around to you and shouts, "Radiation! You know, cook you, make you all weird."
I thought it felt a bit hot.
We're not from round here. Don't suppose you could lend us a hand, could you?
What you got to trade?
We've got some coins and I'm going to put my hand in my pocket and pull out the S&Ms and go. Oh, we've got this fuel. Fuel. One taste of this, you'll be up all night.
Drugs, eh?
Smells lovely.
They taste proper lush. Here, come down and have a look.
Reckon I will. And he actually starts to climb down. The other guy in the watchtower just sort of, for Christ's sake, Caden, what the fuck are you doing? You know, you don't hear it, but you get the. His eyes roll hard enough that you can see it from many meters away. He just. You get the impression this sort of bullcrap happens a lot. This guy shouts at people and shakes them down for stuff. But yeah, he comes down and he comes across. You've got your hand full of S&Ms. He's like, "Drugs, eh?"
Well, I don't know. I don't rightly know. Try one, see what happens.
His hand sort of hovers over them for a moment. He's trying to pick, and he eventually settles on a large-looking yellow one. And he grabs it and he throws it back. And the look on his face, it goes from sort of, good, yeah. What's that? Oh God, what's that? Ugh. And you start to see his lip starts to swell. And then his neck starts to swell a bit. And you notice his eyes start to go a bit red.
Okay, what was the other one called? Hayden? Okay. Do we know what the other one's called?
I believe it was Hayden.
Hayden. Hey, here, Hayden. Your mate here. He's not well. You might want to get a medic.
What the bloody hell have you done to him?
He just had one of these, you know.
You poisoned him?
No, and then I'm going to put one in my mouth.
Lads, they poisoned him. Caden's dead.
No.
He's still alive.
At this point,
He's just a bit puffy.
At this point, the guys from the other watchtower start climbing down. Some guys start running through the gap in the buildings. They're probably about 6 or 7 now. Hayden finally climbs down as well. You notice he's got like some kind of long rifle-looking thing, and they only had one between the two of them up there. And you know the 4 guys who have similar-looking sort of weird weapons will level them off. The 3 guys who haven't, they're sort of carrying assembled sort of large blunt objects. You know, one of them, the guy in front, actually, his large blunt object is actually, you notice, it's a sledgehammer that someone has put nails through the handle. Why anyone would do that, you can't grasp, but someone probably thought it looked cool. And on the other end, you see that it's got like one of those cheap, shitty skulls you get for gear knobs. They've shoved it on the base of the handle of the sledgehammer. This guy is clearly more flash than the others. You know, he clearly thinks a lot more of himself. And he sort of steps forward and he plants the hammer like head first on the ground. He's like, "What did you do to Caden?"
He had one of these. Look, you prick one, I'll eat it. There's nothing wrong with them. They're proper lush, these are.
What did he have? Which one?
I think he had the yellow one.
He notices like a larger red one. He was like, "That one."
Okay, so I'm going to pick it up, put it in my mouth.
It is quite clearly a sugar shell with some slightly bitter chocolate and a peanut. And the peanut is really stale, really, really horribly stale. It's kind of like chewing mouldy wood. But apart from that, you know, the chocolate and the sugar are quite nice. You know, it's a survivable experience. But in the future, you'll probably give Lamb the larger ones.
See? Nothing wrong.
Right, then.
But
What happened to him then?
I don't know. Maybe something ain't right with him.
No, there is a lot that's not right with him. Anyway, we're just fuck. This happens all the time. Get up, Cade. Come on, get the fuck. You know what you. And Caden at this point opens his eyes and he sits up, and he's quite clearly got an EpiPen. And you know he shoots it into his thigh, and you know one of the guys comes and drags him away. And they get out, and they're just like, "Got some serious bottle coming to dealing drugs on our turf. Come on in. We'll find a use for you." And you know, they clap. One of them comes up and he puts his arm around Lamb, you know, offers him a beer. You know, and they do you go with him, Lamb?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
offered me a drink.
Right. Yeah. So you're there. Lamb's in head away, and the bloke at the front, yeah. He leaves his rather flash hammer standing where it is, and he offers you his hand, and he goes, "Name's Karan. How you doing?"
Who's he? Is this to
you? To
me? Oh, my name's Morgan. Nice to meet you. It's our first time on land.
First time on land?
Aye.
What do you mean?
Well, you see, we were salties. We're on the boats. We stay on our ships, and we've come on land to help out our crew. You see.
The traders. The sea traders.
That's right.
Oh,
Aye.
nice. Well, you must have something good to come on in. We'll talk deals inside then. And as he ushers you in, you notice that he's wearing sort of like a white tuxedo top that clearly is several sizes too small. And it's been patched roughly with hides. And hanging from his belt is a very, very small top hat. It clearly doesn't fit at all. And if anyone hasn't guessed it yet, this is a very large, very EastEnder version of Corone. In his tepid cosplay.
Oh god.
Yeah, you head on in to the gates. They move the large sort of lorry back into place. They close the gate, and that will be the end of our game tonight. As you head on in to spend your first evening ashore with the wonderful Westors. So
Awesome.
yeah, that's that. So that was the first episode of Salt and Thirst. It didn't go anywhere where I thought it would. So who are we? What did we think of it? Blah blah blah. Where can we find you? Corone.
Hi, I'm Corone. You can find me on Twitter at Corone_BTP. You can also find information about the Betrayed short film at jqs.org.uk. You can also find it on Facebook. Let me have a look what you need to put into the old Facebook. You have to put in facebook.com/betrayed a short film, all one word. And then you can find some information on there and like our page, and you'll get updates as well. Yeah, I quite enjoyed that. That was different. Nice to play a pirate that seems to keep dropping into Cordish, because that's how I roll. And yeah, it was not how my evening was expected to plan out, but it was nice to suddenly get thrown in at the deep end and come along for the ride. So yeah, very much enjoyment, and I'll see you again very soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. So I know who's watching, so I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I am Spanish. I've had so much fun. I love playing the pirates. Not how I expected it to go at all, but cool. Really, really fun. You can find me on Twitter at spanners_BTP, and probably on Facebook too.
Yay! Awesome.
Yeah, that was wonderful. An exercise in total communication, I believe it's called. So I was thirsty. Thirsty_BTP on the Twitters. I had great fun being terrified and not knowing what I was doing. Being abandoned by two of the players I thought were going to turn up, and not being able to get hold of them. Wasn't exactly the best start. Having to rework the overlay with like 20 seconds notice was also good. This clearly didn't go anywhere I thought it was going to. I had it solidly in my head you were either going to go straight ahead or right, which I should have known better. I had actually, I've written for this possibility, but I was pretty sure that you guys were going to end up siding with someone other than the Westers, or even meeting them. They were going to be the antagonists of the piece, but hey, we can always be more antagonistic. So yeah, you can also, apart from here and Fridays here, you can find me on bloodthirstypuppets.co.uk and other places when those things happen. As you can see, we are without blood because she is currently in the land of America, doing interesting things with clever people, presumably. But yeah, that was wonderful, and now we'll be switching to the wonderful outro track, which I seem to recall we can talk over.
Oh, good.
So, ta-ra.
Marvellous.
Awesome. Well done, first. Oh, wow. See, by the seat of our pants.
Entirely by the seat of the pants.
That accent has travelled all the way around the country. Oh, yeah. I can't hear what I'm saying, so I'm kind of making the shapes.
I can hear what I'm saying, but I'm still making it up.
That's all we need, though, isn't it? You know, you make the right shapes and you hope what you're saying works. I mean, I'm pretty sure I put on a different accent for Tal at the beginning than at the end. But anyway, that was wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much.
Boom.
Hey, look!
Ow.
We've got a person saying it was the first time they watched.